Okay, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani alongside Asukwo James. It's good to have him back. The man ran away. I don't know why he ran away.
Good
Why
morning.
would you
Good morning,
run away?
Nigerians.
Welcome back,
No, I
Ojani.
didn't.
Okay, but the serious business at hand, of course, is, well, it's almost at hand. Well, you can say it's just at hand. We're talking about Saturday and the Edo election. Yesterday, it was all about the peace engagement, engagement among all the parties to commit themselves to peace. And from news reports, it went very, very well. You've seen some, inspiring pictures of people hugging each other. Let's not waste too much more time because we have a package on it. And our man, Ayodele and as well as Femi, they're over in Edo. So we'll be touching base with them later on. But in the meantime, let's take the report that we have on the whole peace matter in Edo.
The electorate to de-escalate the tension. Already, a pre-election threat analysis carried out by Yaga Africa indicates that 13 out of 18 local government areas in the state are considered volatile. Perhaps the signing of the peace accord will start a new conversation around the conduct of the governorship election that is peaceful.
All contesting parties need to adopt a code of conduct that promotes consultations among them, because only this will reduce the adversarial relationship that often develops during campaign.
We can feel a sense of sublime serenity, and our prayer and our hope is that in the days ahead, these elections will be the most peaceful elections that have ever been conducted in Edo State.
It is once again gratifying to note that respected statesmen, including traditional rulers, as well as religious and business leaders, are working in a voluntary and non-partisan way, not only for peaceful elections for the consolidation of our democracy, but also for peace in Nigeria in general.
It was time for candidates and their parties to sign the dotted lines in agreement to the peace deal brokered less than a week to the election. Candidates of the All Progressive Congress, Osage Eze Iyamo, and the candidate of the PDP, Godwin Obaseki, who clearly are now regarded as the frontline candidates in the election, gave their commitment and promised to keep their word.
At this point, let me reaffirm to our commitment to what has been signed and to assure Nigerians, and particularly our people in Edo State, that we will talk to all our supporters, we will conduct ourselves peacefully, we will do all our best to ensure that the election is peaceful. We support free, fair, and credible elections. We believe that is the only way we can sustain our democracy.
I want to say on behalf of myself as a candidate of the party and my party, the People's Democratic Party, that we're fully committed to ensuring that we have peaceful elections. I have no choice, because in addition to being a candidate, I am also the governor and the chief security officer of the state.
Please give them a round of applause.
For the electoral umpire, the commission says any breach of peace
So we
will
can take
lead
the
to
picture.
cancellation of results
Yes.
at the affected polling units.
Okay, so there we have it, Asukwo. Especially the last few words of that report. Any breach will actually lead to a cancellation of results in that particular ward. So the stakes,
That polling unit.
that polling unit. So the stakes are pretty high, And it's interesting. The governor saying in there that well, first of all, the APC candidate had said that had committed, and indeed the governor did commit as well, not just himself, but also his party. And so one just hopes that maybe one should take for granted, be on the positive side, and take for granted that their word carries. And when they say nay, it is nay. If they were to say yea, they can say yea to a lot of positive things, but if they were to say nay to any negative thing, then it will go right down the line to all the ward chairmen, to everybody that we as a party, we are committed and our leader has spoken. Because if their voice doesn't carry, or if their voices don't carry, it's a bit of a challenge, don't you think?
Yes, exactly, because they are the ones that their supporters, will be looking up to.
Yeah.
Because if they say, if for instance the results, come out and then they disagree and say they are not in support of the election or the person that actually won, it cascades down to the supporters who will now take to the streets. So I think what they did yesterday, we are going to hold them to it. Let their word be their bound.
Indeed, indeed. We hear that Ayo is ready over in Edo. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning, Larry.
I guess it's been a pretty busy, this is a very, very busy period for you guys. It all went well, but according to all accounts, we've seen the reports now. What's the sense that you get in town, if there was any sort of tension before? Because Father Kuka was saying in there that, I think he said there's something of a sublime kind of an attitude. What sense do you get, you yourself, just as a citizen and as a reporter moving around, do you get a sense of relief and that there is commitment? Because it is the entirety of the environment that must accept this, not just the leaders.
Yes. Those are the major players, and those are the people, especially when it was streamlined to APC and PDP yesterday during the signing of the peace accord. And what we get in town is that a lot of people want them to get this election over with. They've been campaigning in the last 1 year. They've been going all around this kind of candidates. They've been doing all sorts of things to get people's attention, to get votes. So as a result of the rhetorics of their campaigns, that has heightened the tension kind of across the 18 local governments. What some people want now is for Saturday to come so that they vote and they pray it's peaceful, free and fair, and they will be able to choose a candidate for to have a governor per se come Saturday. And what we are looking at here now is that the security presence, we started feeling the security presence. When I went to the police command yesterday, I saw policemen coming into town from different police commands, adjoining states, and for them to get 31,000 of those policemen, they have to pull resources from neighborhood states, even as far as the Lagos state, to actually arrive at that figure. And those people, they've been on ground, and they are still expecting more. Now, a situation we have on ground now, they will be complemented by other sister security agencies, and those sister security agencies, the military, the civil defense, the DSS, those people, even the immigration services and some other, the Federal Road Safety Commission will also lend their hand in trying to make sure they forestall the breakdown of law and order. So what we have around town now is last minute campaigns here and there across all the local governments. And don't forget that by this time tomorrow, by the time it's 12 midnight tomorrow, and the campaigns will be over, and we'll be waiting for election. INEC would have started distributing their sensitive materials. What they told us that they have their non-sensitive materials across all the senatorial districts, all the local government, and that's the non-sensitive materials. But by tomorrow, the sensitive materials will arrive from from wherever they are bringing it from, and to get the normal practice is to get to the central bank here, and from the central bank, it will now go down to all the senatorial districts, local government, and we're told that we have over 2,000 polling units, and for 2,000 polling units across the 18 local government, and we have 192 wards, Yori.
It's interesting you spoke about the 31,000 policemen. I mean, this is a major police event because that's something in the region of 10% of the entire police force, when you think of it in that way, and that is being drafted to duty in that area. Oh, by the way, in studio we're here with Asukwa James as well. just so you know. Now, you said it's all been streamlined, not so much that you said it is, we've observed it. It's all been streamlined into the two, shall we say, front runners, if indeed that is what one can call them. But there are many more than two parties in this particular election.
Yes. 14 political parties will actually be participating in that exercise. But what we are saying here is that when we talk about...
I'm talking in relation to the peace process. I'm talking in relation to the peace event yesterday. Everybody has focused on those they consider the two maybe principal candidates, if that is how to put it. But I was observing that there are more than that, and surely they also are stakeholders.
14 candidates actually came out to sign the peace pact yesterday.
I see.
The 14 candidates, yes, they were there. They were there. So after the 14 candidates signed the peace pact, they now called on Governor Godwin Obaseki to give a speech, and he now gave a speech. They now called on the candidate of the All Progressive Congress to give a speech. So there was time for when just both of them were up, so they just had time for photo ops, and it was really a thing to look at, because they know that those are the two major gladiators. Those are the two people that the visible political parties that they have their presence in the entire 192 wards across the states. So once you are entering Benin City, you just start seeing campaign of the posters, poster walls all around, billboards, a lot of things that makes PDP and the All Progressive Congress more visible. When you go around town now, you just see buses going around town.
Sure.
Marked buses in PDP, APC, jingles, singing, and a lot of beehive of activities, sensitizing people.
Sorry, Ayo, let's just go there. Theoretically, surely you're not saying it's impossible for any other party to come out victorious in this election apart from APC and PDP. We're being theoretical here.
I've been covering the election for some time, but Yori Falari, I can tell you categorically, it's almost impossible.
So you must be very serious when you use both my names. I take that as a very, very serious comment.
So Ayo, just like we cover elections. For another party to emerge as the governor of Edo State beyond those two political parties, it will take a miracle, Yori. So Ayo, are you also thinking if maybe one of the political parties, one of the candidates might decide to collapse his own structure and move into any of the two big political parties? Structure? It's most of these political parties. I won't be surprised by tomorrow. And Friday, you will hear that 5 of those candidates are coming together to declare their support for one of the candidates, major candidates. That's always the usual practice. Yes. 24 hours, 48 hours to the election, they'll go on air, despite the fact that there's a time lapse that INEC has given. There's a specified period that we allow that if you know you're not running, you inform INEC. INEC will remove your name from the ballots. So it becomes consequential for you to come out tomorrow or next tomorrow to say you are not running and all your structures to support so individual. There are specific time allotted to do that. So INEC has submitted the list of the final candidates and the deadline is off. So what we have now is that we are going to have 14 candidates on that ballot paper, and nothing can change that. If you like, go to the market tomorrow, tell people that you are not running again. It doesn't carry weight, because your name will still be on the ballots. So in terms of accreditation for journalists and observers, how far has INEC gone with that? Femi Akande just informed me before I came on air now that they asked us to come to LUJ to pick the accreditation. For this year, this is kind of novel. What we're seeing for the Edo election now is kind of unique, because Asuko, you're part of that process. We have, before you have to be physically present, you have to get your pictures, passport photograph, they have to see you in person, you have to bring a letter from your office. Well, everything was done online now. So our registration, accreditation was done online, and INEC sent a kind of letter of acknowledgement to us, saying that yes, they've seen our registration, and we are going there now to get our hard copies, because the IG stated it at the stakeholders meeting that if it's only accredited journalists that will be allowed actually to cover the election. So beyond having your ID card, you must be fully accredited by INEC. And I guess we are going to have a normal tag. And I don't know the feature this tag will be carrying, but I'm sure that since it's a computerized system right now, I'm sure it will have something more credible than what they used to have before.
Okay then. You know it's interesting the point you made. Everything is sort of organized and set and we're ready to go. But it's interesting the point you made about maybe there's some sort of fatigue. So much they've been at it for over a year and people are just saying, look, let this election come. Let us do the needful and let it be behind us.
If you see the number of registered voters, and I was told by Yaga Africa, one of the officials yesterday, I was given the statistics that as at 2019 election, the level of participation dropped to 28%. That the last governorship election, the people that turned out was 35%. They recorded 35% turnout. Now, if you get 2.2 million people and the highest they've done is 35% turnout. That means the people that might be participating, some people would have left town now, some people would have suspended their businesses, some people would have said, okay, after the election, we can now settle down to do this and that. A lot of things will be hanging and a lot of people will be saying, okay, after the election, we can do this and that. But the level of awareness I'm seeing in town, if that's transformed into votes, they should be able to do more than 35% of the 2.2 million registered voters.
And remembering what you were telling us yesterday, this figure of 2.2 million, something of 48%, something like 48% of them actually happen to be women.
Yes, 48% of these 2.2 million people,
yes,
they're women. 48%.
So if all the women, although one can't expect
48%.
that. So
if all the with 52%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if all the women were to pull in one direction, even though one can't expect that, they probably are dispersed throughout the 14 parties or whatever. I mean, it's such a power block. And probably it is remarkable.
If you get 48% of the votes, you are home and dry. 48% of the votes, you are home and dry. So statistics and.
Unfortunately, Femi is not around because I know he's the one that is in charge of INEC. I wanted to know
Femi,
what INEC has.
He's talking about being on air.
On air, you know.
On air. Okay.
Yes. So I was looking at the physically challenged and what INEC is going to do concerning them, you know. Do you have any idea?
Yes, I'm sure my producer will be working on it so that Femi can come on air right now because we're meant to even start together. We're having some technical hiccups by the time we started, but Femi is still much around, and I'm sure he'll be able to tell you about what they are doing. I know that there's been a lot of sensitization to make voting, especially for the physically challenged people, easier than what we used to have. But one other thing that the emphasis is being placed on is that you cannot go to that polling unit. The police officers close to those polling units will not even allow you to approach the polling unit if you don't have your face mask. That's a standard COVID protocol for this election. If you're not wearing your face mask, you are not going to be allowed anywhere close to that polling unit. So everybody that, if you have to come out, you must wear your face mask. And, you know, after the election before, there's a scenario that you have to wait at your polling unit so that you can witness the counting. They are trying as much as possible to discourage this now, that discourage this kind of trend now, that people will have to come together so that they can maintain the social distancing thing, and we hope very much that they'll be able to achieve that, because I still see a situation whereby people will turn up between the hours of 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. They want to vote. Don't forget, accreditation and voting will happen simultaneously, as it has been happening since last year. So we hope that people will not turn out at the same time, and they would have devised a means of creating kind of social distancing. I have now Femi Akonde. Femi Akonde is joining us. Asuko was asking he was asking us about the arrangement made for the physically
Yeah, physically
challenged
people
people.
living with disabilities.
Yes.
Yes, the INEC chairman stated this when he had the last stakeholders meeting, that the whole electoral process will be disability friendly. They have made ballot papers, braille ballot papers, that visually impaired persons can be able to read it and even know which particular party and which candidate to cast their vote
That's
for.
true.
And a lot of physically challenged people will be assisted at the voting area. They'll be given preference at the voting area.
They have signs that they are going to follow.
Yes, and this is not the first time. Even at the general election, that was when INEC began to improve on its electoral process to ensure that it favors or it enhances the activity of persons living with disability. So they are saying that they would sustain it again this time, and the INEC chairman stated all of that. He has also, at the last stakeholders meeting they had to, you saw the lady with, a lady living with disability that also runs an NGO come out to make a stronger advocacy for persons living with disability to seek inclusion into the whole
process.
Electoral process, and the INEC chairman gave a strong assurance to her and of course the community of those living with disability that indeed INEC would ensure that their needs and are also captured when coming out with the modes and the modalities of doing things in the voting area.
Now, talking in terms of people in diaspora being able to vote in this kind of crucial elections, there are a lot of Edo State people outside in America and in Europe. When are we going to achieve something like that?
Well, it may take time. It may take time because even though
we've not embraced electronic voting fully,
the system we're grappling with now is still a handful for authorities, both the Electoral Commission, the security, and all of that, and people are not really ready for that change. That suggestion has come up several times, and it's been kicked out as much times as it has been put on the table. It's just, but that evolution would have to happen because even INEC is saying that is the way to go. Everyone is saying that is the way to go. There has to be wider participation of people. Like you also said earlier, you have a situation where there are 2-point-something million registered voters. But at the end of the day, when the results are out and you're looking at the number of maybe votes a particular candidate has, or even the majority votes cast in favor of a particular candidate.
Yes.
You see, it's just about 300,000, and you ask yourself, where's everybody out of 2.something million registered voters?
Yes.
Just about
The winner might match with 300,000 votes.
The majority vote might just be about 300,000, and now with that technology and all of that, is going to expand the space and allow more people participate in the electoral process.
What do you think is responsible for voter apathy in Edo State?
The fear of the threats, the insecurity, it's been building up leading to the election, and a lot of people are worried because this is a very critical factor that also affects voter behavior because everyone wants to feel safe. If the voting area is not safe, people would not come out.
If you can hear us,
Femi, that of fear has been created.
Yes, I'll pass it on to Femi.
You said something about face mask. Now I'm looking at during the stakeholders meeting, did they discuss face mask and maybe voters coming with face masks that are inscribed with party logos? What will happen in case?
Yes, they're talking about face mask, and it's mandatory that you go to the polling unit with your face mask. But how about those face masks with party logos?
Yes, the commission has stated this clearly. Even the Inspector General of Police reiterated this particular issue when they had a stakeholders meeting. Face masks with party logos, party colors, or anything that symbolizes any political party or candidate will not be allowed near the voting area. Campaign officially ends 24 hours to the voting area, and campaign will officially end on Thursday midnight. So they believe all of that campaign and mobilization should already have been done before coming to the voting area.
So there's no point using that particular face mask with your party emblem.
The electoral officers and even the security officers have been briefed. Anybody who comes with party logos and anything that is attached or affiliated to any political party will not be allowed in the voting area. And it is even against the electoral law. Such persons can be apprehended and prosecuted.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Great stuff between you and Femi there. Thank you very much. Actually, we would like to stay on it and be listening to you guys because it's great stuff coming from you. But as you know, we have a program to sort of organize. And thank you very much. Of course, I know that you're going to be on duty right through, and the TVC News will be touching base with you guys throughout the day. Thank you very much, Ayo and Femi. Okay, we'll take a break now. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, please, because when we come back, we'll look at, well, among other things, the rumor that has now been dispelled that there was some sort of an explosion at Kainji Dam. And then we'll look at the flood warning about Ogun State in particular. Floods all over the country, but Ogun State in particular. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. And first of all, let's dispatch with the rumor. The water authorities had put out the advisory yesterday. They kindly disregard online reports about some sort of an accident at Kainji Dam, our hydroelectricity dam. That it didn't happen. It just yesterday, I don't know. This seems to be a season of rumors. Yesterday we had another rumor that was dispersed with. So now this rumor here now is just been given the name. So disregard it.
Yes, exactly. Some people were saying it was an explosion. Some people were saying
no explosion.
That the dam actually got burst.
Yeah.
So, but thank God that the operators, Mainstream Energy Solutions, they actually came yesterday to clear the air. That is an annual ritual, which they do.
Maybe this picture is what people
yes,
misled some people that this is part of the normal operation.
Exactly. This is normal.
It wasn't an accident.
No, at all.
It wasn't
at all.
anything like that.
So and it's not going to affect power supply in any way. It's not going to. So everything is okay, and I think people should always try to verify information before they. But social media is everything and everywhere. Anything that
as the little boy said to his mother, everybody should just calm
down.
Everybody should just calm down and wait for credible sources,
yes,
and
exactly.
hear from credible sources. But the pictures we're seeing right now, it's sort of, it sort of reminds us of the flood warning that we have that is out there now.
Exactly.
The advisory. In fact, Ogun State is one of. It's been said that there will be floods in many places because this is the season, especially in these months from September to around December, right? So we'll be concentrating on Ogun. In fact, we have a report. We have a report from that area by our correspondent in Ogun.
On the 4th and 5th of July this year, some residents of Abeokuta and other parts of Ogun State were visited by an unwanted guest, resulting in loss of property. Many were rendered homeless due to the flooding. But in order to prevent much heavier floods and what could lead to loss of lives, the Ogun State government has warned residents of areas prone to flooding to relocate, as it has been predicted that the state will experience heavy flooding in the next few weeks. The Commissioner for Environment says, although not all areas mentioned will be affected by the impending flood waters, communities and houses close to rivers and waterways may not be left out.
Those living around the flood-prone areas in Lafenwa, Agoika, Adedotun should consider relocation for now. In Abeokuta South, those living in floodplain of Odoala and Leme, these are Madujutimi, Olorun Shogo, Gbangba, Ijeun Tutun, Ago Ijesha, in INEC, Isale Ojakuto, Amolasho Ijeja area. So those living around the Riverview Estate, the Primeview Estate, the Cityview Estate, the Sheriolofin and Arepo, those living in the flood-prone area, that place is a very problematic place year in, year out.
The Commissioner noted that the state has embarked on massive dredging of rivers and canals in order to allow for free flow of water, and hinted that some houses built on waterways have already been marked for demolition.
We have increased our enforcement activities on people building on illegal structures around the houses. Most of the houses have been marked for removal, as the case may be. those that are dumping refuse in canals, we have had to sanction. We have our EHM unit and our other enforcement unit. They have done a lot of sanctioning, arrests, including prosecution of some of these people using refuse to block the canals.
It's raining here in Abeokuta, and this is Ogun River. The water level is coming up gradually, but the situation is still okay. The state government has warned residents of Abule Otun, Lafenwa, and other flood-prone areas to move away from the environment, as it has been predicted that the water level will come up. Kazim Olowe, TVC News, Abeokuta.
Okay, well, thanks to Kazim Olowe, and you know, it's a worrying report. I wonder, we don't have the time to get into it, but I was wondering, they're being warned in some areas, especially as I was listening to him. What are those local governments now? Of particular, were 4 local governments in Abeokuta, in Ogun State. You know, Abeokuta South, Ifo, Ijebu, East, and Ogun Waterside. They're being advised.
And even Isheri.
That's right.
Arekpo, Isheri, yes, and all that.
Indeed.
They've been one. And that's, particularly this Isheri is always like that. Every year, people who are living, the residents who are living around that area are always having that
You're talking about,
problem,
you know, since the commissioner also said it, that apart from those 4 critical local governments I've spoken about, there's also Abeokuta North, Yewa South, yes, Ado-Odo, Ota, Obafemi, Owode, and Ijebu-Ode, and Shagam local governments. That these 2, even though they might not be primary, but still,
they might experience
flooding. And so
flooding.
people are being asked to move to higher ground. I wonder, I mean, everybody knows that, so as to avoid possible fatalities and loss of lives.
So after the rainy season, they can go back.
Yeah, that's a one logistic. Anyway, it's to avert a disaster. Now, we also have on the program this morning Mr. Desmond Majakudumi. Desmond is a renowned Nigerian environmentalist and chair of Lagos Urban Forest and Animal Shelter. Good morning, Desmond, and thank you very, very much for joining us this morning.
Good morning to you.
Indeed.
And I'm glad you're not panicking anymore.
Yori Folani and Asukwa James in studio here. We thought this is the season. There's hardly anything that we can do apart from just take sort of protective measures, because it's a seasonal thing and it's the environment. How bad is it getting worse? Since I know that you've been involved with environmental issues like this over some period of time.
Yeah, so although there's no cause to panic right now today, but tomorrow we might actually have to start panicking, because it is getting worse. It's so sad that we have to acknowledge this reality. Why is it sad? Because we have been warned from many, many years back that if we continued doing what we're doing against nature, ignoring nature and just behaving so arrogant that we can cut down forests anyhow, we can cut trees on river banks anyhow, we can be throwing pollution into the waters, pumping pollution into the atmosphere, nothing would happen. Well, it is happening now. And thank God, you said it in your studio, I was listening, that dam did not collapse. Because if that dam had collapsed, the type of tsunami catastrophe that would have hit us, especially places like Ogun State and even Lagos, which are downstream. All this water is coming from upstream in different parts of the continent, and then it's coming downstream through Ogun State into Lagos and so on. Hey, it would have been horrendous. And that is like a warning. It's a warning to us, because if this continues for the next few years, it's very possible that the dam would collapse, because that dam was built a long time ago, and it was built to contain a certain capacity of water. But the kind of water that's coming these days, it was not envisaged in those days. And why is it coming? Because of climate change.
Okay, I was going to go there. Yeah, I was going to go there.
Yeah.
Climate change, it's one heck of an adversary.
Yes. despite people in America, there's an old school trumpeter, blowing trumpets and trying to deny the reality. It's like saying that 2 plus 2, I don't have 4 fingers. I mean, come on. It's basic fundamental science. You put more energy, heat energy on water, you get more evaporation. Okay, so you're going to have more water vapor in the atmosphere, which means eventually it falls as rain. But apart from that, we are now upsetting perfect systems that a perfect God has put in place from time immemorial. This is why our planet Earth is the only habitable planet that we can see. You can't live on Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, all those places, and even further, they're not habitable. Because the systems, especially those atmospheric systems, very delicate balances of different gases, from carbon dioxide to carbon monoxide to water vapor to different gases, delicately balanced. We have been upsetting that for the last 200 years. And then apart from that, we're causing tremendous pollution. So it's not hitting back, you know? You slap your mama nature, the ultimate mother.
Indeed.
You just slap your...
Indeed. I want your thoughts, Desmond, on how well sensitized do you think we are as Nigerians to issues such as climate change? We have a lot of things to worry about, not least of which is hunger, shelter, and the basic things that perhaps some people in the West have started to take for granted and now have the time to sit down and understand this nebulous, if you want, thing called climate change. But as for our people, Nigerians, how well attuned do you think we are to the issue of climate change and the effect it could have, it indeed is having on our environment and what we could do about it?
This is an excellent question and observation. You know, as if we didn't have enough problems, enough wahala on our head, which we shouldn't have. You know, let's face it. A country as blessed as Nigeria with every type of mineral resource, it's all there. Intellectual resource, it's all there. We shouldn't be having these problems, and yet we are. But the hopeful sign is that we are now seeing 1 or 2 really enlightened leaders in the system who are trying to address the problem. And we are also seeing that happening in terms of, you know, making us aware. And it's very, very, very important because, you see, interestingly, today is World Ozone Day. And I won't go into details, but the ozone layer was a big problem many years ago. The whole world came together to do what was necessary to solve the problem. And now we need to let ourselves that we all have a unique problem, which is climate change. And we need to come together because it doesn't matter how wealthy you are. It doesn't matter how much money you've stolen. It doesn't matter how poor you are, because in the long run, it affects us all. So it is actually a clarion call for us to try to bury some of the problems we have and recognize that we have a bigger problem ahead of us. Because let's face it, even if you're hungry, even if you're really, really hungry, and you're inside your house, okay? And then your house catches fire, you won't be thinking of the hunger anymore. You'll be thinking of how to escape.
You're right there. Okay.
So the solution means we all come together and solve this problem. And I'm very, very optimistic for our country, Nigeria. Why am I optimistic? Because we are a God-knowing country, we are a God-fearing country, and we are a God-loving country. And in the scripture, it is no ambiguity at all. The scriptures are very, very clear. In the Holy Quran, we are caliphs, caretakers. In the Bible, we are stewards of creation. And the God who created his creation and said that his creation is very good, also said that we should love him, and in so loving the creator, care for his creation. So I'm hopeful once we let them know there's a problem against the creation, we shall now start loving our God, expressing that love practically, care for his creation, and look after ourselves and stop all this nonsense. Plant the trees. Hundreds of millions of trees must be replanted immediately.
So just like I share in your optimism, but I'm also looking at, should we be looking at policies that, you know, the government can bring out and then implement so that people will key into saving Mother Nature from, and so that Mother Nature does not really,
by saving ourselves.
and also save ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of those policies, it's been sort of referred to a little bit by the president when he went to an international forum, said Nigeria is going to plant 25 million trees. And from what we can see, they've actually started the process. It's, that's a good indicator, but it's not nearly enough. It's not nearly enough. We need to actually have those policies put in place. And if necessary, deploy the youth corps. If necessary, deploy the military forces. Deploy as many people as possible in order to be able to get this tree planting campaign done. The trees are the key. That's what makes the earth
Desmond, education is going to play or can play a great role in all of this. Education right down to the, if you want, nursery level. Even before primary level.
Exactly. We have to be teaching it in the schools. Like in our Lofasi Park, we bring children to the park and they love it. Children have this natural affinity towards nature. They love being there amongst the trees, and then they see the different animals, the birds and so on flying around. It gives them that natural caring for the creation.
Excuse me, Desmond. A caller has just come in. Mazi Okorafor, good morning, sir. Did I hear that Mazi is on the line? I'm sorry, we lost him. But you were saying that education, because I don't know, you see, you hear of children from other countries in Africa, not just in the West, who have been who naturally, just like you are saying, have been sensitized to nature, the environment, and the responsibility that everyone has to protect her.
Exactly. And it doesn't take long for the children to pick up. I mean, right now in Switzerland, there's this young girl. I think she's only about 14 or 15, called Greta Thunberg. And she's going all over the place. She went to United Nations. You know what she did there?
She's pretty angry. She's telling everybody off. Telling all the adults off. You're right.
I don't think our own young children should try that, because Africans, there's a lot more respect. But there's a way to put it across to the parents now. You can say, hey, Joe, mama, don't, don't.
Because our lack of knowledge, there's a sense in which we're inadvertently strangling the environment through our...
Yes, we can't continue this way. Secretary General of United Nations has said it very clearly, and this is very, very serious. Apart from saying that it is the biggest issue facing mankind, but he also said that the point of no return is no longer in the horizon.
All right.
It is hurtling towards it.
Wow.
That's very serious.
That viewer has got back in. Mazi Okorafor, good morning.
Good morning, Sayori.
Okay. You got a comment?
What we have in Nigeria, we plan in Nigeria. We only make policy, but the implementation system and strategy is our major problem. See what's happening all over the world, not only at Ogun, see what's happening. Rice farms destroyed, people rendered homeless. Now the thing is this, all these forecasts we are seeing today, it has been what we are seeing. The forecasts have been made for the past 3 years. But the government and people concerned, now the meteorological people will not tell us, hydrology will tell us that when they send their letters to the state government, they don't make use of it. So these are the problems. Implementation is Nigeria's problem. Honestly speaking, there is no second way about it. That the earlier the state government start implementing the letters they bring to them before all this is, the better for us. If they still keep it because of the bureaucratic process in Nigerian system, honestly, it's very, very bad.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mazi.
Government should sit on.
Okay. Thank you very much for calling in, Mazi. And just to mention, you might have seen it, maybe you haven't, but the president has virtually unveiled the 60th Independence Anniversary logo. 60 together. There you go. That's it. 60 together. It's the Independence Anniversary logo. The president unveiled that. As is most events nowadays are virtually. So, but there we have it.
He actually did that at the Federal Executive Council meeting this morning.
Exactly. It's like a breaking news. So
yes.
This is one of the first places you also saw it. So, so coming back to you, Desmond, to sort of round off, I guess. Thank you very much for all your thoughts on this whole matter. And you said that there are people in high places who are aware of the situation and are indeed doing their best. We just hope that they sort of proliferate, these kind of people.
Oh, they will. And you know why they will? Because they love their God, and they better fear their God, because the Bible says that God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sow, surely shall he reap.
There you go.
Oh.
Thank you very much, Desmond. Thank you very much, Mr. Desmond Majiakodumi, environmentalist and chair of the Lagos Urban Forest and Animal Shelter. So we've come to the end of the program. In fact, we don't have any more time but to say, as we always say, do your best to stay safe. COVID-19 has not gone pata-pata. It needs to be said. So we'll see you tomorrow, God willing.